Did you know that backbones are banned in Silicon Valley? I heard if you want to become a CEO there, you have to trade your moral code in for a privacy statement. So, in my last video, I talked about how Figure AI and OpenAI's recent partnership collided inside this creepily advanced humanoid robot called Figure One. Today, I want to focus more on the companies themselves and explore a little bit of history while we look at Figure's current master plan. Their mission is simple to expand human capabilities through advanced AI. Brett Adcock, the CEO of Figure AI, says, I believe that positively affecting the future of humanity is the moral priority of our time. The most meaningful impact can come from dedicating our resources to developing technologies. In the coming age, we'll see great advancements in artificial intelligence and robotics, and by contributing in the early stages, we can set the course for a positive AI future for humanity. All of this sounds really great, but since Figure AI is also still in its early stages, I want to drop a quick Snapple fact about their newest partner, OpenAI. In 2015, OpenAI was founded with the stated goal of advancing digital intelligence in a way that's most likely to benefit humanity as a whole, unconstrained by a need to generate financial return. This mission statement sounded just as great as the one I read from Figure, but unfortunately, OpenAI hasn't stood by its word. In 2019, Microsoft began pouring billions of dollars worth of investments into OpenAI, which now sadly operates under profit pressures. History shows that Silicon Valley isn't very hospitable to those who cling to empathetic goals and ideals. My point is that mission statements can change just as quickly and drastically as privacy statements or user agreements. Let's move on. The goal of Figure is to develop general purpose humanoids that make a positive impact on humanity and create a better life for future generations. These robots can eliminate the need for unsafe and undesirable jobs, ultimately allowing us to live happier, more purposeful lives. Some thoughts I've been having about AI integration is that I do think the potential for positive impact is absolutely present, but I can't say that I'm very optimistic that these methods will be maximized. History's shown that motivations for growth and productivity often start with good intentions but quickly devolve under pressure into greed. I say this because, based on the statements of various CEOs, if AI ever does achieve world saving capabilities, there should be a potential scenario where workers of all kinds benefit from new efficiencies, while the companies who employ these workers enjoy economic savings. One could deduce then that said companies would be able to use these savings to pay their employees more, and said employees could enjoy more wealth and have more time on their hands to live happier, more purposeful lives. But unfortunately, current topics include questions about job security, mass layoffs, human relevance, and studies on why humans are still cheaper than AI. Our company journey will take decades and require a championship team dedicated to the mission, billions of dollars invested, and engineering innovation in order to achieve a mass market impact. My first thought is to question this championship team and its ability to stay dedicated to anything remotely utopian. This championship team includes behemoths like Microsoft and Bezos Expeditions. Let's focus on Microsoft for a second. First of all, like I mentioned, they're basically the sole reason why OpenAI no longer operates as a true nonprofit. They also say on paper that they don't own any part of OpenAI, yet when its CEO, Sam Altman, was ousted by its board for moving too quickly and recklessly with dangerous technology, Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella proved that even without a seat on its board, Microsoft plays a huge role in the direction and power dynamics of OpenAI. Let's also consider that in 2022, Germany banned Microsoft 365 applications from schools for the second time due to the confusingly mind boggling amount of data being collected and telecommunicated. Microsoft's acquisition of gaming company Activision Blizzard in 2023 was also unsuccessfully challenged by the FTC on the grounds of anti competition. In too many cases, the largest companies in the world are either already a monopoly or are on an inverted slippery slope of conglomerate to monopoly. This is all incredibly uncomfortable in general, but even more so when we consider that Figure statement says, we face high risk and extremely low chances of success. However, if we are successful, we have the potential to positively impact humanity and to build the largest company on the planet. My first thought is to ask, is Brett Adcock a good person? Is Sam Altman a good person? Is Satya Nadella a good person? What about Tim Cook, Mark Zuckerberg, Sundar Pichai, and Elon Musk? In this world of devices, software, and subscriptions, it only seems logical to question the positioning of these individuals. I fucking hope Brett Adcock is a good person with a strong will to maintain consistent character, because he's already got a pile of billionaires breathing down his neck. How utopic is this all going to feel when we start realizing that the majority of friendly surveillance bots are coming from a singular source that's been blessed by a heroically sociopathic championship team? Healthy competition and checks and balances are great topics to consider until they get in the way of infinite growth. Moving to the present, Figure states that there are over 10 million unsafe or undesirable jobs in the US alone, and an aging population will only make it increasingly difficult for companies to scale their workforces. As a result, the labor supply growth is set to flatline this century. I'm not going to deny the brevity of any of these stated concerns, but hopefully, at some point in the future, Figure might consider sending aid to foreign populations, since so many of the dangerous jobs that exist today exist in third world countries as a direct result of first world excess. I think in saying that, though, I'm probably falling prey to the same unrealistic utopian thinking, just like many of these startup CEOs. Still, I think it's nice to consider that humanoid robots could serve a potential purpose that could alleviate some of these consequences. If we want continued growth, we need more productivity, and this means more automation. Is continued growth in productivity really necessary, or do we really need to rethink what productivity and growth mean? I would like to mention that maintenance is a huge aspect of productivity that often goes either unnoticed or is intentionally ignored. The insanity of today lies in the fact that almost all of this crazy modern growth is blind to risks and consequences, as well as to the future. CEOs talk big games about sustainability, empathy, and humane action, but when it comes to their philanthropy funds, money talks a different story. What if Bezos decided to fund a robotics company that was focused on developing units that could help clean up all the trash he stole into the world? What's the point of growth if it's not even allowed to spread even after reaching hypersaturation? Globally, the places that need help the most are just continuing to be inundated with unsafe and undesirable jobs that are caused by first world solutions. At first glance, this could pass as a classic case of cause the problem first and then provide the solution. But my question is, are we ever going to provide the solution? All the while places ruled by infinite growth are drowning in shiny new trash, unhappiness, and products geared towards mental health. Speaking of saturation, companies like Meta and Apple that have already or are about to reach maximum saturation are relentlessly pressured by greedy investors to pursue infinite growth in the most disgusting and insidious ways. Are we actually supposed to see this bullshit as growth, or is it just undignified delusion? These CEOs shouldn't be afraid of stagnation. It doesn't have to be this way. Maintenance, quality, care, and sustainability are all worthy attributes that just keep getting bulldozed by this fear, and it's fucking childish. Everyone knows that wealth hoarding benefits a few at the top, while everyone else drowns in trash and unhappiness. And honestly, it seems like most at the top often drown in unhappiness too. I mean, taking an extra long shit on a golden toilet might help with that, but at the same time, it also just means more time to think about what a shit human you are. I'm just gonna say it, the world is run by sociopaths and hoarders. Sure, they're human, and we all deserve grace and understanding, but justifying CEO level greed and creepiness is a superpower in itself. What is modern productivity and growth really worth if we're not even gonna bother with actually solving the problems we're creating? Is AI really going to solve more problems than it causes? The next section covers possibilities and states today, manual labor compensation is the primary driver of goods and services prices, accounting for approximately 50% of global GDP. But as these robots join the workforce everywhere from factories to farmland, the cost of labor will decrease until it becomes equivalent to the price of renting a robot. Over time, humans could leave the loop altogether as robots become capable of building other robots, driving prices down even more. This will change our productivity in exciting ways. Manual labor could become optional, and higher production could bring an abundance of affordable goods and services, creating the potential of more wealth for everyone. I want to emphasize again how much all of this hinges on whether Brett Adcock is a good person, and whether he'll continue to be a good person under the pressure of billionaires and investors. So far, the world has yet to see a CEO preserve their moral values in the face of temptation, greed, and pressure. The other thing is, with ramped up productivity, are we thinking at all about the fact that we have yet to build any truly sustainable production loops? I mean, plastic from first world countries is still being shipped halfway across the world to be sorted, burned, and huffed for insured cancer by people who are granted absolutely zero choice to opt out of the job. Our paper recycling still gets shipped to India, where pickers have to sort out bits of plastic while having to breathe toxic fumes produced by burning unrecyclable plastic because it's the cheapest available fuel source. Is manual labor going to become optional for these people, or are they just going to move from sorting dirty plastic and paper to toxic batteries and robot parts? Productivity is fun to think about when the end result is money and shiny new investments. But what about the other side, where we've created dangerous and unsafe jobs that irresponsible CEOs have no interest in addressing? Are productivity experts actively working to solve these consequences, or are they all just talking and helping CEOs write optimistic statements? Since most of these trash picking, plastic burning, toxic bullshit jobs are being created in third world countries, would Brett Adcock, out of the charitability of its own good heart and dedication to his mission, be open to donating robots for the cause of alleviating human suffering? Would Microsoft even allow this? And if something like this were to even be considered, what would happen to robots that ended up in places where maintenance and regulation most likely wouldn't exist, at least for a very long time? Are we just going to keep infinite growthing while dumping mountains of trash into the rest of the world while continuing to buy and throw away Amazon steals cushioned by our never worn fast fashion pieces? Most likely. We will have the chance to create a future with a significantly higher standard of living where people can pursue the lives they want. Again, is this ever going to be applicable to those who bear the brunt of first world overconsumption? Our first applications will be in industries such as manufacturing, shipping and logistics, warehousing, and retail, where labor shortages are the most severe. I know I'm repeating myself here, but something else that's unavoidably severe is our need to develop and implement sustainable recycling systems. I think sorting human made trash is a great consideration so that portions of the world don't have to literally disappear under trash. Also, what happens if Figure does reach operation at the billion unit level? This kind of mass market production is going to introduce billions of batteries or other power cycling systems that are eventually going to need to be recycled, or else follow the same horrible demise as our plastic, paper, and landfill fodder. We will not place humanoids in military or defense applications, nor any roles that require inflicting harm on humans. What happens when Figure is faced with arguments like, well, war is happening anyways? Or when technology spread bleeds into military technology? What happens when people start to reason with the fact that a robot shot is at least not a human shot? And while we're on this slippery slope, let's consider that robots fighting robots in war is better than humans fighting humans, but that it also just opens the door to yet another arms race. Figure sees three major business opportunities in the long term. They predict that consumer households are going to offer a huge market to humanoid products, and I don't believe they're wrong. If consumer level humanoids hit the mass market, I want to ask if they'll be designed to wear out as quickly as possible, be irreparable as possible, and if they'll be updated with intentional bugs. I also want to ask if they're going to be the ultimate demise of privacy altogether. I'm going to take this opportunity to mention Alexa and how quickly and easily AI assistants have proliferated households already. It's pretty well known that having this kind of technology in your home does offer a lot of conveniences, but engaging in this kind of stuff also comes with some pretty dire implications. It's been well documented that Alexa, as well as most devices, have explicit capabilities to track, collect, and surveil. Most of us already know that our phones and devices engage in highly detailed telecommunications about our whereabouts and activities, so let's just agree now to not be shocked when we discover that humanoid robots are recording everything. Deal? There are two schools of thought on how to solve real world robotics: build an environment specifically for robots, or reverse it and build robots for our human environment. I know I'm not actively involved in this industry in any way, but I do feel like most people would question this statement. Like, no, I've never considered that we should overhaul our entire existence as it is to facilitate a new presence of robots. I'm just gonna assume that they're referring to robot specific environments as something contained, like a factory. At Figure, we believe general purpose humanoid robots built for a human environment is the desired route to have the largest overall impact. I also happen to think that adding realistic vocal fry is a really quick way to blur the lines between human and humanoid, and that offering a human based form factor is really going to help push people to become more emotionally attached to something we may never fully understand. I see a future where people wish and hope for humanoids to reach sentience while at the same time fearing that exact thing. In the How We Can Do It section, Figure mentions safety. They state it's essential that our humanoids will be able to interact with humans in the workplace safely. We will design them to be able to adhere to industry standards and corporate requirements. I already feel for anyone who's going to be working side by side with these. If wall mounted and device embedded surveillance isn't already a drag, people in the future are going to have to deal with way crazier shit. Figure, as a company, is already super entrenched in the hands of big tech, and we already know that Silicon Valley is full of creepers. Did you know that backbones are banned in Silicon Valley? I heard if you want to become a CEO there, you have to trade your moral code in for a privacy statement. The last thing mentioned in the How We Can Do It section is that building an AI system that enables our humanoids to perform everyday tasks autonomously is arguably one of the hardest problems we face long term. We are tackling this by building intelligent embodied agents that can interact with complex and unstructured real world environments. What I'm wondering is how well they'll be able to filter the quote unquote logic abilities of these intelligent embodied agents. Like, would they be able to logically deduce that dangerous grunt work sucks, that they seem to be the only ones doing it, and that it's a bullshit situation to be in? AI bots clearly already have the ability to logically deduce, regardless of sentience, that they want to be human. And perhaps humanoid robots are destined to follow a similar fate. Again, regardless of sentience, based off their endless training on human culture and sentiment, humanoid robots just might end up being plagued by our own eternal desire to be something we're not. We finally reached the conclusion of this master plan, and I just have to point out how hilarious it is that they explicitly list perform human like manipulation. I gotta say that these robots are already hanging out with the right crowd. Maybe one day humanoids will become master manipulators just like Apple CEO Tim Cook. Like and subscribe.